Ah yes, the most frustrating mechanic in all of Pokemon Unite, Zapdos. The savior of teams who perform badly, and the bane of those who make one mistake after dominating the whole game. Have you ever stomped the entire game only to die at 210 and watch your team lose Zapdos as a result of your 40-second death timer? And how could I forget about the 4 Fluffy Tail, Zapdos on spawn cheese strategy? In today's video, I'm going to argue that Zapdos is actually good for the game, but also talk about changes I would like to see to make it more healthy. Zapdos as a concept is good game design. I often see people on Reddit and other discussion forums complain about Zapdos coin flips. Usually they talk about how bad it feels to do well for the entire game, only to have the enemy team make one play and win as a result. This has some merit, especially in solo queue. Solo queue teammates start games by wasting ults before Zapdos, not even coming to Zapdos, or making huge risky plays right before Zapdos spawns. However, when I see changes people suggest, I understand why balanced teams should not listen to discussion forums for balance. Zapdos is necessary for the game for 2 reasons. Reason number 1. Comeback mechanics are needed in games where you can generate massive leads that put other player characters on uneven playing fields. In fighting games, there probably shouldn't be comeback mechanics as players are generally on an even playing field the whole time, but this is not the case for MOBAs. Levels and or items can give you massive advantages in MOBAs, meaning that some way of coming back into the game is mandatory. Players do not want to be stuck in a game they cannot win for 10 minutes. Without large comeback mechanics in the form of Zapdos, for example, Dreadnought will decide who wins the game 90% of the time. Who wants to play a team game where one mistake means you have a 10% chance of winning the game? The second reason for Zapdos' necessity involves scaling comps. Scaling comps, as the game state currently is, are complete garbage. Usually, changes people suggest for Zapdos fail to keep this in mind. When is the last time you saw Ralts on your team and thought to yourself, it's okay that we got obliterated early, we have Ralt scaling. Please stop picking Ralts in my games. If you wanted to change Zapdos to be worse, you need to find an area to make scaling characters better. This, however, is rarely considered by those who flame Zapdos because discussion forum frequenters seldom consider what might happen as the result of changes they suggest. One of the arguments I hear for Zapdos changes goes something like this. I think Zapdos itself is fine, but the 2x points after 2 minutes is way too strong. If Tencent were to remove this, I think Zapdos would be good for the game. The second change commonly proposed is as follows. I'm okay with Zapdos being in the game, but instead of having it be an instant dunk, why not have it reduce the time required to dunk? Those are the 2 changes I usually see suggested for Zapdos, so let's dive into why I'm not a fan of either. For argument 1, I can at least understand this one. It feels bad to have a lead for the whole game, only for it to be stolen away by Zapdos. With that said, this change greatly exacerbates the current Dreadnought situation and makes it virtually impossible to come back. Changing the last 2 minutes to not have 2x points essentially makes following behind a virtually impossible hill to climb. When you are ahead, you already have all the tools necessary to keep the enemy away from Zapdos, meaning to even let the enemy team get near Zapdos is generally a mistake. Why should a team who's made a comeback and won Zapdos still lose, when you had every way to stop them in the first place? Argument 2 is much more strange to me. This is an argument that shows me people do not think about the ramifications of changes before they tout them. Zapdos essentially becomes useless when you suggest a change like this. If you're ahead, you can just go play on enemy points and backdoor score with Buddy Barrier plus Score Shield. You can completely ignore Zapdos now, as you will always be able to defend the score, making the buff pretty much useless. When you're behind, and you happen to win a fight to obtain Zapdos, now you have to win a second fight on their goals as you attempt to score. Why should a team who has already won the Zapdos fight have to win another fight without their ultimate abilities? This kind of change is a change that makes characters such as Charizard, who is extremely ult-reliant, feel useless at later stages of the game. I myself believe Zapdos is good as a concept as stated at the beginning. With that said, I do believe Zapdos is in need of tuning. My proposition for potential Zapdos changes are as follows. Proposition 1. Increase the HP of Zapdos, but give teams a damage buff to Zapdos for every character their team kills after the 2-minute mark. Our goal with this change is to prevent bum rushing Zapdos as a means to win the game. Strategies such as 4 Fluffy Tail comps are becoming more prevalent on the latter, which naturally leads to more Zapdos coin flipping. With the addition of Blastoise, this garbage cheese Zapdos strategy has become even better. Blastoise and Wiggly are near unkillable before Zapdos dies in this comp, and they themselves hard-voice coin flips at Zapdos. This begs the question about Tencent's game design philosophy when characters such as Blastoise and Wiggly exist. That's a topic for another video. Proposition number 2. Increase the HP of Zapdos, but reduce the damage of enemy players to Zapdos for every member on your team near Zapdos. The goal of this proposition is to force teams to have to fight at Zapdos. If you win the fight, it will be easier for you to take Zapdos while the enemy is on respawn. The reason why we want a defense buff when people are near Zapdos is that it makes Zapdos still killable if the enemy does not try to contest Zapdos in the first place. This is necessary because there may be team comps revolving around ignoring Zapdos completely and just backdooring. This change also makes it harder for losing teams to coin flip rush Zapdos, as when they lose members, they will be doing less damage to Zapdos than the enemy team, meaning they are less likely to secure the kill. I hope these changes would be enough to make Zapdos feel less coin flippy, and in the same turn, make winning Zapdos fights feel more meaningful. With that said, these propositions do not address the issue scaling characters are still facing, but maybe I'll talk about that and how I think they should be fixed in a future video. I stream daily on Twitch, which will be linked in the description below, so feel free to check that out if you want more of my content. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to help me out. It does take a lot of effort to make these videos, so any little bit of help I can get from you guys is really appreciated, and it helps my motivation to make more. There's also a Discord you can join if you want to chat with me or other people. We play other games there as well, like Epic 7 for example, that I've been playing a lot recently. So you guys can join that, that'll also be in the description. Until next time, take care.